Well, hello there, and welcome to this here review of Aliens Fireteam Elite. So, what is Aliens Fireteam? Well, it is a cooperative third-person horde shooter in the vein of Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, and Vermintide, to name a few. You and up to 2 other players create a Colonial Marine, pick a class and their equipment before embarking on a number of missions set across familiar locales from the Alien franchise. I'd say now that this is one of, if not the best game based around Colonial Marines to date, though admittedly that is a sadly small number of titles to compare against, but regardless, the effort here can be seen across the entire game. The attention to detail is there for any fantasy, from the weaponry, the armour, sound effects, and even the decals on the armour. You can tell the developers are massive fans of the franchise. There is nothing quite as satisfying as going full auto with your M41A2 pulse rifle against a horde of scuttling xenomorphs in a corridor, and doing that with a couple of friends is a hell of a lot better. So the basic setup of the game is something some may be turned off by, to be honest. Mission flow is essentially moving through the level to an objective that inevitably involves pushing a button to start a machine, or call a lift, or scan a room, or debate the ending of Evangelion. Basically, the button may as well be called the Piss Off Xenomorph button, as it results in a horde of enemies attacking you until the task is complete, and you move along the next few corridors or rooms to do it a few more times before the mission is completed. Now, some people will likely not enjoy this approach, maybe preferring something more survival horror based or with more involved objectives, and I can see that criticism, but this is no different from other horde games like Vermintide, which follows a very similar format, but are still immense fun to play with friends. I will admit, tension is rare, at least on normal difficulty, due to the generous spacing of ammo boxes in these holdout locations. You rarely feel like you have to conserve rounds when you know in a room or a few corridors down the line you'll be able to infinitely restock, and during the defense sections you can always top up during the lull. That said, if the game limited your ammo restock options, it would need far less enemies and the levels would be very dull, so I agree with this approach by the developers, to be honest. Some may want there to be more risk involved and, like Hicks, use short controlled bursts, but I don't see it as a huge negative, at least for me personally. Now, you won't just be shooting hordes of your bog standard xenomorph. Ever since Left 4 Dead gave us special zombies, the horde shooter has found ways to keep you and your team on your toes, and the Xenos have a few elites amongst their ranks. Bursters glow with acid, ready to cover a wide area and melty goo when they die. Pouncers will hide, though sometimes in the most obvious of places, to leap out and pin you to the ground. Drones will rush one of your team before sneaking off into the vents a la Alien Isolation, while the Warrior and Praetorian just soak bullets to distract the team. Now, you won't just be facing Ripley's best friends either throughout the entire game, as Sikhs and Industrial Synthetics will also be a foe you have to contend with, including everyone's favourite, Working Joes. In total, the game features 3 enemy factions to encounter, with the third being one I'd rather not spoil, but each have their own tactics for engaging, specials to watch out for, and levels based around fighting them. It's actually really cool to see Alien Isolation be acknowledged here so often as well. Katanga Station features many familiar aesthetics of Alien Isolation alongside many sound effects and plumbing defects. So much hissing from those pipes. It almost seems like they were aiming to create a claustrophobic workspace where danger would lurk around every corner. The environments are kept fresh across the game's 4 campaign chapters, from the aforementioned Katanga Station, engineer ruins on the planet, to the classic alien hive locale. The game hits all of the locational beats to keep things visually distinct. Now onto your Marines. The game features a class system, with each one playing a specific role on the field. Initially, you have 4 to choose from in the form of the Gunner, Demolisher, Technician, and Doc. After completing the campaign, you unlock a 5th Recon class as well. Gunners are your standard Marine. They're capable of doing big damage that increases the more you rack up kills, but also being able to buff the squad with rapid fire capabilities and being able to throw hand grenades. The Demolisher brings the heavy firepower, capable of firing a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher like some Predator and dropping concussion grenades around them to knock back foes. They can equip heavy weaponry like the Smart Gun or Flamethrower, for instance. The Technician is an area denial class, deploying a turret to lock down a location and shock enemies with shock field devices that slow targets caught in their radius. The Doc is essential for tougher levels with their deployable healing field and combat stims that will increase your movement speed and weapon stability. Finally, the Recon class can deploy support drones that will drop off the odd bit of ammo for friendlies and scan nearby areas, highlighting targets and making them more susceptible to damage. Playing the game earns you XP for each class, and weapons that you have equipped can also be unlocked with new perks for use on the perk board. The board uses a kind of Tetra-style loadout that becomes larger as you rank up, allowing more perks to be slotted onto the board. Some perks will have a synergy effect with certain class skills or with other perks, enhancing those abilities further. These can have effects like increasing skill duration, reducing skill cooldown, buffing your damage, unlocking different versions of equipment as well, like being able to change the Technician's standard turret to a flamer version, for instance, or a version of the Doc's healing field that can damage enemies when they enter its zone of effect and slow them down. If you have a particular weapon you like to keep handy for those close encounters, you can level it up as well. Increased ranks for weapons increases their base stats with 4 ranks in total, and every weapon can mount attachments as well in the form of barrels, magazine and sight upgrades. Different attachments can add different effects, such as increasing their effective range, the weapon stability, magazine size. Some of them can increase damage to weak spots as well, and it makes the gun more effective. Some of them even give you things like thermal imaging. It's quite fancy. There are over 30 weapons as well in the game, so you can really sink a fair amount of time to rank all of them up if you really want to. Some items are also unlocked by completing missions, and some of the weapons and attachments can be found in the requisition store. Completing missions will grant you 2 types of currency, requisition and rep scrip. These are used for buying weapons, attachments, skins for the Marines, consumables and challenge cards. The last one is probably the most interesting here. Challenge cards are items that you can activate before a mission is started, which will add some kind of modifier to the level. Some of these can be pretty helpful, like Ammo Hoarder, which will give you double your magazine capacity in your weapons and double your maximum ammo carrying capability. While Faulty Medkit, for instance, will actually have a 50% chance that when you heal, nothing gets added to your health. It's broken, basically. Most challenge cards, though, are there to give you bonus credits and bonus experience at the end. Some will give you both, some will give you one of a specific type. Now, even the developers are stressed here that Fireteam Elite is best played with real, actual, honest-to-God people. It can be played on your own with, with 2 bots or with a friend with a bot filling in the 3rd slot. And these Seeks and Combat bots are okay, but they aren't anywhere near as reliable as a real person. On average, when I played it, the bots will do around about 100,000 less damage than you as a player, and about 1/3 as many kills, meaning you'll be doing pretty much all the heavy lifting on your own. Decent in a pinch, but really, the game is designed around playing with friends. Visually, it isn't going to win awards for the best graphics in a third-person shooter, but you know what, it still looks really nice for what it is. The environments look straight out the universe, with all of them with their gorgeous 70s and 80s worn-down sci-fi charm, the mood lighting that you'd expect from a game featuring any type of Xenomorph, pipes regularly expelling steam, lights constantly set to that mood mode, and computers have that retro 80s sci-fi pixel setup to them. The Marine gear is extremely faithful to the films, with plenty of graffiti marked on them and little personal touches that distinguish each class. You can unlock more outfits as well, and different helmets to mix and match, so your armour can be a bit more stand out. I'll admit, the running animation does look a bit odd and slightly stiff, and some glitches can occur, such as alien drones after they've pinned a player will just stand straight up in the air, not moving, and then blip out of existence, rather than scurrying into the vents that they're supposed to do. For the most part though, it looks good, and more importantly I noticed that on PCs it can run on a wide range of systems. This isn't a particularly high requirement game, which is a really nice touch. On the technical side of things, I did have one Unreal Engine crash during a mission, but it only happened once across an entire 10-hour of play, so it's fairly stable, though I'm sure that's something that they could work on. Outside of that though, it's been pretty solid. The audio works great with an original soundtrack that evokes the themes of both Alien and Aliens, while also being its own standout addition to the universe's music. Nothing quite beats the angry growl as well of a pulse rifle or a smart gun, but the other weapons that have been newly created for this game do have their own distinct weighty punch to them. Also, when you whack a Xenomorph, you'll hear that iconic screeching sound, and Working Joes will still inform you that damaging company property will make you liable for expenses. So, overall, I really enjoyed my time with Fireteam Elite, and given its lower price point compared to other games, it is a lot of fun, if sometimes a little bit repetitive, but with friends, it is a really truly enjoyable time sink. I look forward to seeing what else Cold Iron Studios can do in the future. And hopefully we'll get some more levels and some new equipment and maybe some new foes to fight, who knows. But until then, thanks for watching everyone, have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.